Remember, if you want to call in and chat with me, the number is 833-281-2343. I'm going to repeat that. That's 833-281-2343. You can also find that number in the show notes of this episode. And I want to hear from you. I want to answer your questions. I want to hear from you. So first, we're going to hear from Ariel. She wants to talk about coworkers finding out about her ADHD.
Hi, Kristen. This is Ariel from Montana. I'm calling because my question or my dilemma is that it seems like everywhere I work in my professional setting, I have a lot of fear and anxiety wrapped up in my coworkers finding out that I have ADHD. And I think the current setting I'm working in has been the most accepting, or at least has felt very accepting, because I have a lot of coworkers who either joke about their own ADHD or actually have it. But I just struggle to know when to let that cat out of the bag and to know if it's going to be detrimental for my career, or if people will look at me differently or value my thoughts and experience less. I wonder to myself at times, like, is this appropriate to bring up? I work in a healthcare setting, so I don't bring it up with patients, just because for the most part I feel like it's not my visit, it's their visit. They're paying for that visit, and I don't need to share more than every once in a while a snippet of my life to relate to them. But with my coworkers, I just really struggle. And I think part of it is that I'm fairly new in my practice still as a healthcare provider, and I'm just so eager for people to respect me and my work and my thoughts, and I often struggle with self-worth anyway. So that's my question in a nutshell, and I'd love to hear your thoughts and your responses. Thanks for all you do. I love listening to you, and I think you're just fabulous.
Ah, Ariel, that's so sweet. I think you're fabulous too. Oh, this is such a good question. And I just want to hug you. There's so much to say about this question. And I want to point you to an episode that I did in the past. Should you tell people about your ADHD? And that would be a really good one for you to go back and listen to, because we have a 40-minute conversation about exactly what you're saying. Will it be helpful or harmful? Should I tell them? Shouldn't I tell them? Will they respect me more? Will they respect me less? And that's a really nuanced conversation. And especially when you're talking about in a work environment, I think that I personally need to be very careful in making any kind of recommendations, because I would never want to put you in a position where you're not seen as the professional that you are, or you're not able to get what you need because you've disclosed your diagnosis. But here's what I want to say. That information, the fact that you have ADHD, is yours. It is yours. It belongs to you. And you get to share it or not share it depending on a few things. I would really try to assess the safety of each person that you are considering sharing with. And what I mean by safe is that they have proven to you that they can hold sensitive information with care. Not everybody can do that. In fact, Ariel, most people cannot do that. Most people are not very safe, and they're not able to hold sensitive information with extreme care and empathy and understanding. And so that is like the number one thing, because I feel very protective of you and every other listener. I want to protect you from any I just want to protect you. I want to protect you. So I really want you to understand first that that's your information. It belongs to you. You don't have to share it with anyone. Second, if you do consider sharing it, you have to think of each individual person and whether or not they have a proven track record of being able to hold sensitive information with understanding, with empathy, and with care. The third thing that I want you to consider is why would I share it? Like, what benefit would it be to me? So for some of you, sharing or disclosing your ADHD diagnosis might lead you to get accommodations in the workplace. And that could be really, really helpful. Disclosing your diagnosis to like the HR department could possibly lead to accommodations and things that would make your work life easier and make you better at your job. So that could be really, really helpful. If there is, like you said, you're in healthcare, if there's a certain way to write your notes that you would prefer to do that's more ADHD friendly, and you could disclose perhaps to HR and say like, hey, I'd like to use this program because it works better for my neurodivergent brain. That's just an example of what might be able to take place if you do choose to disclose your diagnosis. But I also want to speak to the fact that you are feeling very fearful and that you're worried that it might um, take away from your credibility. And I really want to encourage you to begin to build your self trust. I really want to encourage you to begin to think through what makes you credible as a healthcare provider. What makes you respected? What makes you good at your job? Because ADHD is not going to add to that or take away from that. Like you are good at your job because of who you are, because of what you've studied, because of what you bring to the table. And ADHD is just kind of like there. And of course, it's going to make things a little bit hard in certain areas, but you're still 100% able to be an amazing healthcare provider with or without ADHD. So I would love to just encourage you to find your inner credibility. What makes you credible? Because if you don't have that, if you don't have an evidence bank internally for what makes you credible and what makes you a good healthcare provider and what makes you a respectable coworker, then no matter what happens with anyone else, you're always going to feel shaky. You're always going to be afraid that people are going to find out. You're always going to feel like, oh my gosh, are they thinking XYZ? I'm not sure. So your work, my dear, is to build your internal credibility so that you can stand in your own authority as a healthcare provider, regardless of your ADHD diagnosis. So I want to ask you, Ariel, and anyone else listening who's like, oh my gosh, I resonate with this so much. Like I struggle in my work environment. I'm afraid people are going to find out that I have ADHD. I want you to begin to build an evidence bank for your credibility in your profession. And I am talking about like literally writing down what makes you good at your job, literally writing down why you deserve to work there, literally writing down why you deserve the paycheck that you get, and really making sure that your brain can see that there is a large bank of evidence for your credibility in your workplace. And ADHD, it's there, it's not there, whatever, it doesn't affect your actual credibility. Does it affect your time management? Yes, of course it does. Does it affect your memory, your working memory? Does it affect your impulsivity? Yes, it does. But those are not the things that make you good at your job. So what makes you good at your job? What makes you credible? And then whether or not your coworkers find out, it's kind of inconsequential. It doesn't actually matter because you know that you're good at your job no matter what. All right. I really hope that was helpful, my dear. Everyone with ADHD knows what to do to improve their lives. You go to bed at a reasonable time and you wake up early, make a list, cross the things off the list in order, manage your time well. Yeah, we know what to do, but ADHD is not a disorder of not knowing what to do. It's a disorder of knowing exactly what to do, but not being able to get yourself to do it. That's why ADHD is so frustrating. We're smart and we want to succeed, but we can't get ourselves to do the things that we know we should do in order to make improvements. That's why I created Focused. I'm a life coach with multiple certifications, and since 2019, I've spent thousands of hours coaching adults with ADHD. Time for me to focus on you. Hello. Welcome to your coaching call. I am going to be coaching you today on relationships. I know what it takes to help an adult with ADHD go from hot mess express to grounded and thriving. Focused is my monthly coaching membership where we go deep and we get to the root cause of what holds us back with ADHD. I'll teach you how to understand your ADHD brain, regulate your emotions, and accept yourself, flaws and all. With this foundation, we build the skills to improve life with ADHD. And not only do you get skills and tools in Focused, but you're surrounded by a huge community of adults with ADHD who are also doing the work of self-development right alongside of you. Dr. Ned Hallowell says healing happens in community, and I have absolutely found this to be true. As a matter of fact, listen to what actual Focus members have to say about being in this program.
What can I say about Focused? Full community of people who have issues similar to you, and no one judge you.
Focused has really supported me with my difficulties and asking for help. I've been encouraged and cheered on by the community.
I really like that you can do as much or as little as you want. It's not just about the volume of the content, it's about the quality.
Focus has helped me understand ADHD better.
I would recommend this to anyone.
I would thoroughly recommend Focused.
I can confidently say that this is one of the best decisions that I have made for myself.
So if you're an adult with ADHD who wants to figure out how to be motivated from the inside out and make real lasting changes in your life, join hundreds of others from around the world in Focused. Click the link in the episode description to check it out.